Cancel your appointment and come clean the house. It's the least you can do, my daughter-in-law said. When I said no, she stood up and yelled in front of everyone, "You're good for nothing!" I grabbed my purse and walked out without looking back. Days later, she lost everything. Those words came out of the mouth of my daughter-in-law, Miranda, as if they were the most natural thing in the world. We were in the middle of my granddaughter Olivia's birthday party, surrounded by 30 guests, purple balloons everywhere, and the sweet smell of the carrot cake that I had baked myself starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had the phone glued to my ear. On the other end, Mr. Harrison, an antique appraiser, had just offered me $450,000 for the opal necklace I inherited from my mother. $450,000. It was my salvation, my only way to have something of my own after 12 years of feeling like a stranger in my own house. But Miranda didn't care. She planted herself in front of me in those black patent leather heels she always wears to look taller, more powerful. Her expensive perfume hit me in the nose. "Leonore, are you listening to me? The kitchen is an absolute mess. Cancel that ridiculous call and get to cleaning. It's the least you can do after we give you a roof over your head." I felt something inside me break. Or maybe it was being set free. I lowered the phone. I looked Miranda straight in the eyes. And for the first time in 12 years, in 4,380 days of humiliation, I said, no. The silence that followed was deafening. The guests stopped talking, even the music seemed to quiet down. Miranda blinked twice, as if she hadn't quite understood. "What did you say?" I said, "No, Miranda. I'm on an important call." Her face transformed. From surprise, it turned to a rage I had never seen on her before. She got up from her chair so fast she knocked it over. The sound of the metal hitting the floor made Olivia jump. And then she screamed. She screamed so that everyone could hear. "You're good for nothing. You're a useless burden who only gets in the way in this house." The carrot cake I had lovingly prepared was still intact on the table. The purple balloons swayed in the breeze. My granddaughter Olivia was looking at me with tears in her eyes. And my son, Robert, my only son, remained seated, his gaze fixed on his plate, as if nothing at all was happening. I picked up my brown leather purse, the one that George gave me on our 30th anniversary. I ran my hand over the worn leather, feeling its familiar texture, its promise of better times. I looked one last time at Robert, waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for anymore. And I walked out. I walked past the guests with my head held high, though inside I felt like I was falling apart. I heard the murmurs, the looks of pity, the uncomfortable silence I left in my wake. I didn't look back. What none of them knew, what Miranda never imagined while she was yelling at me in front of everyone, was that the call she interrupted wasn't just any call. Mr. Harrison was waiting for my answer about the opal necklace, those iridescent stones that shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow, the same ones my mother gave me on her deathbed, telling me, "Keep them for when you really need them." That moment had arrived. But what happened next, what I discovered in the following days, was much worse than anyone could imagine. And Miranda, with all her venom and arrogance, had no idea that her scream, that insult in front of 30 witnesses, had just sealed her fate. If you have ever been made to feel worthless in your own house, stay until the end of this story. Because what comes next, nobody expected. And if this confession is touching something inside you, subscribe to the channel to keep sharing stories like this, stories that need to be told. I arrived at Brenda's house with dry eyes. The tears had run out on the way. She opened the door, looked at my face, and didn't ask a thing. She just hugged me. But to understand how I got to that moment, to that scream that broke me in two in front of 30 people. I need to go back. I need to tell you how a 68-year-old woman, the owner of her own home, ended up feeling like an unpaid maid in the place she built with her husband. It all started 12 years ago, when George died. It was a Tuesday in October, where the sky was so blue it seemed untrue. George was watering the hydrangeas in the garden, those blue flowers he loved so much, when he simply stopped. The heart attack was sudden. He didn't even have time to call me. I found him there, among the flowers, with the hose still in his hand. The first months were a hell of silence. The house felt enormous, empty, full of ghosts of conversations we would no longer have. Robert came to visit me every weekend, worried, affectionate. He brought Miranda and Olivia, who was only 6 months old then. "Mum, you can't stay alone in this big house," Robert would tell me while pouring coffee. "Why don't we share the space? That way you won't be alone, and we could save the apartment rent." It sounded reasonable. It sounded like filial love. How naive I was. At first, Miranda was a different person. Kind, thoughtful, even affectionate. She helped me with dinner, asked me how I had slept, and hugged me when she saw I was sad. I thought I had gained not just a daughter-in-law, but a daughter. The transformation was gradual, so slow that I didn't see it coming. It started with small things, a comment about my cooking. "Oh, Leonore, don't you think you put too much salt in that?" Then about how I dressed. "At your age, you should wear more subtle colours, shouldn't you?" Then about my friends from the quilting group. "Those ladies just go to gossip, you're wasting your time." When Olivia turned 1 year old, Miranda quit her job. "To dedicate myself to the child," she said. But the one who ended up taking care of Olivia was me. The one who woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning with her crying. The one who prepared her baby food, changed her diapers, and sang her to sleep. Miranda went out with her friends because, "I need to clear my head, Leonore. Being a mother is exhausting." And I kept silent. Because I loved my granddaughter. Because I thought that's how families were supposed to be, supporting each other. But there was one day that marked the true beginning of my ordeal. Olivia was 3 years old. I was preparing lunch when I heard the noise. Miranda had deliberately spilled her cup of coffee on the kitchen floor. I saw her do it. Our eyes met. "Oh, how clumsy I am," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Leonore, can you clean this up? After all, you don't work. You have all the time in the world." Something in her tone chilled my blood. It wasn't a favor. It was an order disguised as an accident. I cleaned up the coffee, and the next day I cleaned up another accident. And another. And another. The following years were a downward spiral I didn't know how to escape. I was assigned chores as if I were part of the house inventory. Cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Wash everyone's clothes, iron Robert's shirts and Miranda's dresses, clean all 3 bathrooms, mop, dust, organize. Meanwhile, Miranda and Robert went out to dinner at fancy restaurants. They traveled to Miami, to Las Vegas, to New York City. They came back tanned and happy, with suitcases full of new clothes. "Mum, I brought you this scarf. I saw it and thought of you," Robert would say, handing me something that was clearly the cheapest item from the souvenir shop. I would smile and fold it into my tiny closet. Because yes, my closet was tiny. 8 years ago, Miranda walked into my bedroom, the master bedroom, the one I had shared with George for 35 years. "Leonore, we need this room. It's bigger, and Robert needs space for his home office. You'll be more comfortable in the service room. It's cozy." The service room, 10 feet by 8 feet, right next to the laundry room, where the noise of the washing machine woke me up every morning at 6 o'clock, where in the summer the heat was unbearable because there was no fan. where the smell of detergent got into my clothes, my hair, my lungs. But the worst part wasn't the room. The worst part was the loneliness. My only refuge was Thursdays. Every Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I met with my quilting group at Brenda's house. There were 6 of us ladies, all widows or divorced, all with stories to tell while we quilted tablecloths, napkins, blouses. Miranda hated those Thursdays. "Are you going out again? Olivia needs you," she would say, even though Olivia was perfectly fine playing on her tablet. "You are so selfish, Leonore. You only think about yourself." But I went. It was the only thing I had left of myself. Until 3 months ago, something happened that should have opened my eyes forever. It was my birthday, 68 years old. I asked Miranda, a month in advance, if I could use the living room to invite my quilting friends. We just wanted to have coffee, eat cake, and chat. "Of course, Leonore, it's your house too," she said with that perfect smile I had learned to distrust. On my birthday, I arrived home from running errands. I opened the door and found the living room full of Miranda's friends. Loud music, bottles of wine, snacks everywhere. "Leonore, just in time," Miranda shouted over the music. "We organized a last-minute gathering. Can you bring us more ice?" My friends were waiting for me at Brenda's house. I had to call them to cancel. "Something unexpected came up," I told them, my voice cracking. Brenda didn't believe me. "Leonore, what is going on in that house?" "Nothing, Reme. Everything is fine." But nothing was fine. And that day, while serving ice to Miranda's friends in my own living room, on my birthday, something inside me began to die. Or maybe it began to wake up. Because 3 months later, at Olivia's birthday party, when Miranda screamed in front of everyone that I was good for nothing, that part that had been asleep, humiliated, and stepped on for 12 years, finally said enough. Brenda opened the door for me at 8 o'clock at night. She was wearing her flowered cotton robe, the one she wears when she's no longer expecting visitors, and her reading glasses hanging from a gold chain. I only needed to look at her face to know she had been waiting for me. "Come in, Leonore. The tea is ready." She didn't ask what had happened. Brenda has that wisdom that only 70 years of life and 40 years of friendship can give. She knew I would talk when I was ready. I sat in her kitchen, at that wooden table where we had quilted so many afternoons, where we had cried over our dead husbands, where we had laughed until our stomachs hurt. The smell of chamomile tea enveloped me like a hug. "She screamed at me," I finally said. "In front of 30 people, she told me I was good for nothing." Brenda poured the tea into those white porcelain cups she takes such good care of. She didn't say anything. She just waited. And then I broke down. I told her everything. Not just what happened at Olivia's birthday, but everything else. The 12 years of small, daily deaths, the looks of contempt, the accidents with the coffee, how they had taken my bedroom, how I had spent my last birthday serving ice. "I sleep next to the laundry room, Reme, in a room that doesn't even have a real window, only a skylight where the sun wakes me up at 5 o'clock in the morning." Brenda set her cup down on the table with a dry thud. "What about the house? Whose name is the house in?" I blinked. I hadn't thought about that in years. "George left it to me, I think." "You think?" Brenda got up with an energy I hadn't seen in months. "Leonore, where are the house papers?" "In the study, but now it's Miranda's office. She keeps everything locked up." Brenda went to her room and came back with a folder. She opened it on the table and pulled out some documents I recognized immediately. They were copies of the deeds that George and I had signed when we bought the house, 38 years ago. When George died, Did you sign anything to transfer the property? I thought back. I remembered the first months, the pain, the confusion, the meetings with lawyers, the inheritance papers, the will. No, George left everything to me. There was nothing to transfer. I was the sole heir. Then the house is still in your name, Leonore. Your name. Not Robert's, not Miranda's. Yours. Those words fell on me like cold water. For 12 years I had felt like an awkward guest, like someone who should be grateful for being given a roof over her head. Miranda had repeated it so many times that I ended up believing it. But the house was mine. You need to see those papers, Brenda insisted. You need to know exactly what documents are in that office and why Miranda has them locked up. I stayed at Brenda's house that night, and the next, and the next. Robert called on the second day. His voice sounded tense, uncomfortable. "Mum, where are you? We're worried." Worried? What a strange word. "I'm fine, Robert. I need time to think." "Look, Mum, I already talked to Miranda. She exaggerated, okay? You know how she gets when she's stressed? With Olivia's party, the expenses, all that. Come home. We can talk about it." I heard noise in the background. Miranda's voice, though I couldn't make out what she was saying. "I'm not coming back yet." "What?" Robert's voice went up an octave. "Mum, don't be dramatic. It's your house too. My house too. As if it were a concession. As if they were doing me a favor. Goodbye, Robert." I hung up before he could answer. My hands were shaking. During those 3 days, Brenda and I talked like we hadn't in years. She told me things she had noticed but never told me, respecting my dignity, waiting for me to see it myself. 2 years ago, at the neighborhood Christmas party, Miranda told the neighbors that you had memory problems, that you forgot things, that you got confused. I froze. "I don't forget anything, Reme." "I know, but she's planting the idea, preparing the groundwork." "For what?" Brenda looked at me with those grey eyes that had seen too much of the world. "To declare you legally incompetent, Leonore. To take everything away from you." That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed in the bed in Brenda's guest room, staring at the ceiling, feeling how the pieces of a puzzle I didn't know I was putting together began to fit. The comments about my age, the jokes about my memory, the way Miranda always interrupted me when I spoke to other people, finishing my sentences, correcting what I said. It wasn't carelessness. It wasn't casual disrespect. It was a plan. On the third day, Brenda made pancakes for breakfast. We sat in her small dining room with the morning sun streaming through the window, and she told me something that would change everything. "I have a nephew, Julian. He's a lawyer, specializing in family law. Cases like yours. Cases like mine. Financial and emotional abuse of older adults by family members. It's more common than you think, Leonore. And it's a crime." The word crime hit me in the chest. I didn't want to get my son into legal trouble. I just wanted, what did I want? Respect? My house back? My life? "I don't know, Reme. He's my son. And you are his mother, the woman who gave birth to him, raised him, and loved him. Doesn't that count?" I didn't have an answer for that. That afternoon, Robert showed up at Brenda's house. He brought flowers, the kind they sell at the supermarket, wrapped in cellophane. He looked tired but not remorseful. "Mum, enough with the drama. Let's go home." "It's not drama, Robert. Miranda is very sorry. She already talked to Olivia. She explained that there was a misunderstanding. Olivia misses you." "Always, Olivia. They always used my granddaughter as emotional bait. And you, Robert? What do you think about all this? He shifted uncomfortably in Brenda's dining room chair. I think. I think we all got upset. But we're family. Families fight and forgive. When she screamed at me, you didn't say anything. You stayed seated. I didn't want to make things worse. You didn't want to inconvenience your wife. The silence that followed was heavy, full of truths neither of us wanted to face. Finally, Robert sighed. What do you want me to do, Mum? Get a divorce? Miranda is the mother of my daughter. And I was his mother. But apparently that mattered less. I'm going home, I finally said. But things are going to change, Robert. I'm going to change. I returned to my house that afternoon. Miranda was waiting for me in the living room. When she saw me walk in, her eyes filled with tears. She ran toward me and hugged me. Leonore, forgive me. I don't know what happened to me. The stress, the worries. I said horrible things I didn't mean. Her hug felt fake, like everything else. But I hugged her back, because Robert was watching us from the stairs with hope in his eyes. It's okay, Miranda. Do you really forgive me? Her tears were wetting my blouse. Really, eh? But inside, something had changed. While I hugged her, while I smelled her expensive perfume and felt her crocodile tears, I remembered Brenda's words. She's preparing the groundwork to take everything away from you. And in that moment, hugging my daughter-in-law who was shedding fake tears, I made a decision. If she was playing chess, I was going to play too. But she didn't know that she had just awakened a rival who had been studying her every move for 12 years. The first days after my return were strangely quiet. Miranda acted as if we were the best of friends. She asked me if I had slept well, served me coffee in the mornings, and even offered to help me prepare dinner. Everything was such a perfect lie that it was almost funny. Robert seemed relieved. See, Mum, you just needed to talk. Things can work out when we all do our part. I nodded, smiled, and played along. But at night, in my room next to the laundry room, with the smell of detergent embedded in the sheets, I thought, planned, and remembered every detail of what Brenda had told me. The following Thursday, I went to my quilting meeting. Miranda didn't object. Of course, Leonore, enjoy your afternoon with the ladies, you deserve it. That kindness made me more nervous than her screams. At Brenda's house, my friends greeted me with hugs and worried looks. They all knew what had happened at Olivia's birthday. News travels fast in our neighborhood. Are you okay, Leonore? Asked Susan, the youngest of the group, only 62 years old. I'm learning, I replied. Brenda took me aside, to her kitchen, while the others took out their threads and quilting hoops. My nephew Julian wants to talk to you. He says it's urgent. Why urgent? Because he did some investigating. And he found things, Leonore. Things you need to know. 2 days later, on a Saturday afternoon while Miranda and Robert had gone to the movies with Olivia, I went to Julian's office. It was a modest building in downtown Chicago, 3rd floor, no elevator. I went up the stairs with my heart pounding against my ribs. Julian was a man about 45 years old, with glasses and a kind smile that reminded me of Brenda. He offered me water, coffee, and a comfortable chair in front of his desk full of files. Mrs. Leonore, my aunt told me about your situation. I investigated a little with your permission, and there are things you need to know. He took out a folder. He opened it in front of me. Miranda Fuentes Olvera, 39 years old, compromised credit history. She owes a total of $850,000 across 3 credit cards, 2 personal loans, and 1 secured loan. I gasped. $850,000? The interest is eating her alive. Excessive purchases, trips, restaurants. The spending pattern is unsustainable. I thought of all those trips to Miami, the designer clothes, the expensive shoes, the dinners at restaurants where a single plate cost what I spent on food for an entire week. That's why she needs the house, I said in a low voice. Exactly. Your house, according to the tax office, has an approximate value of $3,800,000. If she manages to sell it, she can pay off her debts and have enough left over to start her life over. But there's a problem. The house is in my name. Correct. And according to the law, as long as you are alive and in full possession of your mental faculties, no one can touch that property without your consent. The word alive resonated in my head in a way I didn't like. What if someone declares me mentally incompetent? Julian looked at me with those eyes that had seen too many cases like mine. Then your son, as a direct relative, could request legal guardianship. And with that guardianship, he could make decisions about your assets, including selling the house. Even if I don't agree, I said. If you are legally declared incompetent, your opinion ceases to matter in the eyes of the law. I leaned back in the chair. I felt the walls closing in on me. My aunt told me that Miranda has been commenting in the neighborhood about your supposed memory problems. I don't have memory problems. I know, but she's building a narrative. Witnesses who can testify that you forget things, that you get confused, that you need supervision. It's a slow but effective process. What can I do? Julian closed the folder and looked directly at me. Protect yourself, document everything, and be prepared for what's coming. I went home with my head spinning. $850,000 in debt, my house valued at almost $4 million. The pieces clicked into place with a clarity that made me nauseous. That night, during dinner, Miranda dropped the bomb. Leonore, we need to talk about something important. Robert put his fork down on the plate. Olivia was playing on her tablet in the living room. We want to remodel the house. It's been years since it needed renovation. The bathrooms, the kitchen, the bedrooms, everything. Remodel, I repeated. Yes, we've been saving, but it's not enough. We need about $300,000 to start. $300,000, 1/3 of her debt. I don't have that money, Miranda. But you have the necklace. Her voice was still sweet, but there was steel underneath. That opal necklace you take such good care of. My aunt has a jewelry store on Fifth Avenue. She could appraise it, give you a good price. It's already been appraised, $450,000. Miranda's eyes sparkled. See, perfect. You sell the necklace. We use $300,000 for the remodel, and you keep $150,000. It's a win-win. To remodel my house? Our house, Leonore. Robert intervened for the first time. We all live here. We all benefit. I stared at my bowl of chicken noodle soup. The spoon was trembling in my hand. I'll think about it. There's not much to think about, Mum. Robert's voice hardened. It's only fair. We pay for the utilities, the food, everything. The least you can do is contribute something. There it was, the true face behind the mask. I'll think about it, I repeated. Miranda smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. Don't take too long, Leonore. Materials are getting more and more expensive. That night, when everyone was asleep, I went down to the kitchen for a glass of water. The house was dark, silent. I passed by the study, Miranda's office. The door was ajar. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it would betray me. I went in. The desk was neat, almost obsessively so. Coloured folders, pens arranged by size, a closed laptop. I searched the drawers with trembling hands. In the third drawer, under some furniture catalogues, I found a green plastic folder. I opened it, and my world stopped. They were property transfer documents. My house. But the signatures were not mine. Someone had forged my signature on at least 5 different documents. Deeds, powers of attorney, sales authorizations. Everything was fake. I kept looking. Behind the green folder were envelopes. I opened one. Printed emails. Between Miranda and a real estate agency in Beverly Hills. Dear Mrs. Fuentes, we confirm receipt of documentation. The house in the Brentwood neighborhood is ready to be listed as soon as we have the final deed. Suggested price, $3,850,000. Our commission is 4%. Awaiting news. Date of the email, 2 weeks ago. There was another envelope, this one with the letterhead of a law firm. Process for declaration of mental incompetence. Client, Miranda Fuentes. Subject, Leonor Duran, widow of Mendoza. Appointment, November 28th, 10 o'clock, 8 minutes, November 28th, in 15 days. I took out my cell phone. With trembling hands, I photographed every document, every email, every paper in that cursed folder. When I finished, I put everything back exactly as it was. I closed the drawer. I left the office like a ghost. In my room, I sat on the bed and looked at the photos on my cell phone. The evidence was there, clear, irrefutable. Miranda didn't just want to keep my house. She wanted to erase me, declare me incompetent, sell everything. And Robert, my son, did he know? Was he an accomplice or just an idiot blinded by his wife? I didn't know. And that doubt hurt me more than all the humiliations combined. But one thing I did know. I couldn't keep playing the victim. I opened the chat with Brenda. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, but I needed to write. Remé, I have the proof. Everything. I'm going with Julian tomorrow. This ends now. Her response came in seconds. It's about time, Leonor. It's about time. I lay down with the cell phone against my chest, feeling for the first time in 12 years something I had forgotten existed. Power. Sunday dawned with an aggressive sun that shone through the skylight in my room. Miranda prepared a special breakfast, scrambled eggs, bacon, biscuits. The smell filled the house. Sit down, Leonor. I'm cooking today. You rest. Robert was reading the newspaper. Olivia was colouring in her princess book. Everything looked like a perfect family scene out of a magazine. But I had seen the documents. I knew the truth. And now, every smile from Miranda felt like the blade of a knife. Have you thought about the necklace? Miranda asked while pouring coffee. The remodel can't wait. There's dampness in the walls, Leonor. If we don't fix it soon, it will get worse. I'm still thinking about it. What is there to think about? Robert put down the newspaper. Mum, the necklace is stored in a box. You don't wear it. You don't enjoy it. At least let it serve some useful purpose. A useful purpose. Like paying off his wife's debts. It's the only thing I have left from my mother. And this house is the only thing we have left from Dad. Miranda sat down across from me. She took my hand. Her fingers were cold. He would want us to take care of it, don't you think? To keep it beautiful. The manipulation was so obvious it was disgusting. But I smiled. You're right. Let me talk to the appraiser this week. Miranda's eyes lit up. Really, perfect. My aunt can help you. She knows the best jewelers in the city. I want to make sure I get the best price. Of course. Jewelers who would give her a commission for every piece she brought them. That afternoon, while Miranda went out with Olivia to a children's party and Robert was taking a nap, I went back to the study. this time more prepared. I had my cell phone fully charged and a mental list of what I needed to find. I opened the drawer again. The green folder was still there, but this time I looked deeper. Behind the furniture catalogues, I found another folder. This one was red, thicker. I opened it and felt the floor move beneath my feet. They were bank statements, credit cards, in Miranda's name. The figures were even worse than Julian had said. Bank of America card. Owes $287,450. Interest rate, 42% annually. Target card. Owes $156,890. American Express card. Owes $312,670. There was more, loans from pawn shops, signed promissory notes. Even a loan from an informal finance company with 8% monthly interest. How had she gotten to this point? I looked at the dates. The expenses went back 5 years. Restaurants charging $3,000 per meal. Shoes costing $12,000. A designer bag that cost $45,000. All while I slept in a service room and wore the same clothes from 10 years ago. But the worst was at the end of the folder. A printed document. An email between Miranda and someone named Roger Inclan, lawyer. Dear Miranda, regarding your consultation about the mental incompetence process for older adults, I confirm that we need 2 witnesses to testify to erratic behavior or memory loss. Psychiatric evaluation. I can recommend professionals who understand the situation. Documentation showing that the subject cannot manage their finances. The process takes between 3 and 6 months. Once declared incompetent, you and your husband, as direct relatives, can request guardianship. With guardianship, you have total control over her assets, including the sale of property. My fee is $85,000, payable in 2 installments. I await your reply. Roger Inclan, Ezisk. Date, September 15th. My reply was dated a week later. Roger. Perfect. I already have the witnesses, my neighbour Rose and my sister-in-law Patricia. Both have noticed Leonore's deterioration. When can we start? Time is of the essence. I need urgent liquidity. Miranda. I photographed everything. Every page, every email, every bank statement. My hands were no longer shaking. I was beyond fear. I was in a place of absolute clarity, cold and sharp as ice. There were 2 witnesses, Rose Tavera, my neighbour 3 houses down, with whom I had shared coffee hundreds of times. Patricia, Robert's sister, whom I had taken care of when she was a child, whom I had helped when she got divorced, both willing to lie, to say that I was losing my mind, for money, for loyalty to Miranda, for reasons I would probably never understand. I kept searching. In the last drawer, I found something that broke my heart. A manila envelope. Inside, geriatric asylum forms, 3 different ones, with information completed by hand. My name, my age, suggested diagnosis, incipient senile dementia, requires constant supervision. One of the brochures had highlighter marks. Serenity House. Comprehensive care for older adults, starting at $18,000 monthly. There was a sticky note attached. This one, far from the neighbourhood. No visits without family authorization. The handwriting was Miranda's. I sat down in the desk chair, surrounded by evidence of my own planned destruction. I didn't cry. I had no tears left for this. Miranda didn't just want my house. She wanted to erase me, put me in a nursing home far away, where no one could see me, where I couldn't defend myself or tell the truth. And then sell everything, pay off her debts, start over with my money, in my house, with my life buried in some $18,000 a month facility. I heard a car park outside, Voices. Miranda had returned. I quickly put everything away. I closed the drawers. I left the study just as the front door opened. "Leonore, where are you?" Miranda's voice sounded cheerful, fake. "Here, in the kitchen." My voice came out surprisingly calm. She came in carrying Olivia in her arms. My granddaughter's face was painted like a butterfly, with pink glitter on her cheeks. "Look, Grandma, I'm a butterfly. You're beautiful, my love." Miranda set her down on the floor. "Go wash your face, Olivia. Be careful on the stairs." When the child went upstairs, Miranda came closer to me. Her smile was perfect. "So when are we going to see my aunt?" "The jeweler." "Wednesday is fine." "Is perfect. The sooner the better. I already hired the architect to come give us an estimate for the remodel. He's coming on Friday." How quickly she was moving. How sure she was of her victory. "One question, Leonore." She sat down at the kitchen table, crossing her legs. "Have you updated your will? At your age, it's important to have everything in order." There it was, the real motive for her question. "I haven't thought about it." "You should. For Olivia, for Robert, so there won't be problems later." Later, when I was no longer around, or when I was locked up in an asylum, declared incompetent. "I'll think about it. I can recommend a notary, a friend of Roger's, my lawyer. He does great work." Roger, the same lawyer from the emails, the one who charged $85,000 to erase me legally. "Thank you, Miranda. You are very kind. That's what we're here for. We're family." Family. That word she had used as a shield, as an excuse, as a prison for 12 years. That night, after dinner, I faked a headache and went to my room early. I closed the door. I sat on the bed with my cell phone. I sent all the photos to Brenda and Julian, every document, every email, every bank statement. Julian's reply came in 20 minutes. "Mrs. Leonore, this is enough to press criminal charges: forgery of documents, attempted fraud, conspiracy to commit dispossession. We are talking about 2 to 12 years in prison. I need to see you first thing tomorrow morning. We are going to stop this before it's too late." Brenda called me. Her voice sounded strange, tense. "Leonore, are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this? Report her. She's the mother of your granddaughter. She's your son's wife. This is going to blow up your family." I looked around my tiny room. The smell of detergent, the narrow bed, the skylight where the sun came in every morning to wake me up too early. My family already blew up, Remy. I was just denying it for 12 years. Silence on the other end. "Okay, then let's do this right. We're going to protect you, and we're going to make sure she can't do this to anyone else." I hung up and lay down. For the first time in months, I slept deeply because I knew the war had begun, and this time I wasn't going to be the victim. On Monday, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I was in Julian's office. This time I didn't climb the stairs with fear. I climbed them with purpose. Brenda was already there, sitting in front of her nephew's desk. She hugged me when I walked in. "Did you bring everything?" I took out my cell phone and put it on the desk. "Everything is here. Photos, documents, emails, everything." Julian connected my cell phone to his computer and started reviewing the images. His face grew more serious with each photo. "This is serious, Mrs. Leonore. Very serious." "How serious?" "Forgery of official documents is a federal crime punishable by 2 to 8 years in prison. Attempted dispossession, 6 months to 3 years. Fraud, 3 months to 12 years, depending on the amount." And if we add the attempted declaration of fraudulent incompetence. He took off his glasses and looked directly at me. We are talking about a sentence that could reach 12 years in prison. Miranda Fuentes committed several serious crimes. 12 years. Olivia would be 24 years old when her mother got out. My granddaughter, I whispered. I know. Julian closed his laptop. That's why we need to do this correctly. It's not just about punishment. It's about protecting you, and deep down, that child too. How? We are going to build a solid case. We are going to gather more evidence. And we are going to make sure that when this explodes, you are completely protected legally and physically. Brenda took my hand. Julian investigated more things. The lawyer opened a new folder on his desk. I made some calls, contacts in the financial sector. Miranda doesn't only owe $850,000. There are more debts that don't appear in her official credit history. More? Loans with private individuals, money she borrowed from friends, family members. I found at least 4 people she lent money to and has never paid back, sums ranging from $20,000 to $100,000. He did the math on his calculator. We are talking about a real debt that exceeds $1,200,000. I was speechless. $1,200,000. And she wanted to solve it with my house, my necklace, my life. Is there more? Julian continued. I investigated the witnesses she mentioned in the email. Rose Tavera and Patricia Mendoza. Patricia, Robert's sister, my own sister-in-law. What did you find? Rose received a payment from Miranda 3 weeks ago, $30,000, bank transfer, with the description, loan. But there is no documentation of any loan. She paid her to lie about me. That seems to be the case. As for Patricia, Julian hesitated. She has 2 credit cards that Miranda co-signed for. If Patricia doesn't pay, Miranda is responsible. It's a form of mutual blackmail. Miranda has control over her. My own sister-in-law, the girl I helped raise when her mother, my mother-in-law, got sick. The girl who cried in my arms when she got divorced. And Robert? I asked with a broken voice. Does my son know all this? Julian exchanged a look with Brenda. That's the question we need to answer. Is he an accomplice or is he another victim? How do we find out? By observing him, documenting, seeing if he signs documents, if he participates in the conversations about the sale. For now, we don't know. That uncertainty was killing me inside. I needed to know if my son, the child I had given birth to, raised and loved for 42 years, was participating in my destruction. What do we do now? I asked. First, we are going to protect you. Julian took out several documents. I need you to sign this. It's a sworn statement before a notary stating that you are in full possession of your mental faculties. We are also going to do a complete psychological evaluation with a certified doctor. Why? To have irrefutable evidence that you are fine. When Miranda tries to declare you incompetent, we will have dated proof that shows the opposite. And my bank accounts? I've already checked them. You have $63,000 in the bank. It's not a lot, but it's yours. I suggest you transfer it to a new account, at another bank, only in your name, with no beneficiaries. What if Miranda finds out? Let her find out. She can no longer access that money. I also suggest you take the opal necklace out of the house. Keep it in a safe place. Brenda intervened. Can you leave it at my house, Leonore? In my safe. I nodded. Everything was happening so fast. Second, Julian continued, we are going to document everything. Every conversation with Miranda, every demand, every threat. Your cell phone has a voice recorder. Use it. In America, recordings are valid as evidence if one of the participants in the conversation knows they are being recorded. You want me to record my daughter-in-law? I want you to protect yourself, Mrs. Leonore. Miranda is planning to destroy you. You have the right to defend yourself. He was right, but recording conversations, gathering evidence, I felt like a spy in my own home. And after that? When do we report her? When we have enough evidence of an attempted crime. For now, we only have forged documents that haven't been officially used. We need her to take the next step, to try to use those documents, to move forward with the incompetence process. That's when we act. Let her continue? Just a little longer, enough for the crime to be completed and the case to be solid. But I will be monitoring everything. At the first sign of real danger, we act. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. There's one more thing, Julian said. I need you to think about what you want to happen next. Next? When all this comes to light? When Miranda is arrested? What do you want to happen with your son? With your house? With Olivia? I hadn't thought that far ahead. I had been so focused on surviving that I hadn't planned for afterward. I need time to think about it. Take it, but think carefully because the decisions you make now will define the rest of your life. I left that office with a folder full of documents to sign, a list of things to do, and a weight on my chest that I didn't know if it was fear or hope. Brenda accompanied me to her house. We took out the opal necklace that same afternoon. I returned to my house, went into the service room, and moved the loose floorboard where I had hidden the box for years. The necklace was still there, wrapped in black velvet. The opals shone with that internal light that changed color depending on the angle. Blues, greens, oranges, like small galaxies trapped in stone. "Forgive me, Mum," I whispered, "but I need to do this." I put it in my purse and walked out as if nothing had happened. Miranda was in the living room, watching television. "You went out, Leonore?" "For a walk. I needed air." "Oh, well. Tomorrow I'll go with you to see my aunt, the jeweler. Does 11 o'clock sound good?" "Perfect," I smiled. She smiled. Two women playing chess, each believing she knew what the next move was. That night, in my room, I set up the voice recorder on my cell phone. I tested it several times until I understood how it worked, and then I called my quilting group, the 6 ladies who had known me for decades. "I need to ask you for a favor," I told them, "a big favor." "Anything you need, Leonore," Susan replied. I told them everything, not the legal details, but the essence. Miranda was using me. She wanted to take my house. She had forged documents, and I needed help. "I need witnesses," I said. "People who can testify that I'm fine, that I don't have memory problems, that I'm not crazy." "Of course we'll testify," said Harriet, the oldest of the group, 73 years old and sharp-tongued. "That woman is a snake. I always knew it." "Count me in," said Beatrice, and Rose and Mary and Carol, all of them, my friends, my tribe. "I also need you to be vigilant," I continued. "If anything happens to me, if I disappear, if I'm taken somewhere, I need you to find Brenda, to call Julian." "Nothing is going to happen," Brenda said firmly, "because you are protected now. You are no longer alone." I hung up with tears in my eyes, but this time they were different tears. Not of pain, but of gratitude. Because Brenda was right. For the first time in 12 years, I was no longer alone. I had a lawyer. I had evidence. I had witnesses. I had friends willing to fight with me. And Miranda, with all her perfect plans and her forged documents, had no idea what was coming her way. I went to bed that night thinking about my mother, how she had taught me to quilt when I was a child, stitch by stitch, patiently, building something beautiful from nothing. Life is like quilting, my child, she would tell me. Sometimes you have to undo everything and start over. But if you have patience and don't give up, something precious will come out in the end. I had undone my life for 12 years, stitch by stitch, letting Miranda weave her web around me. But now I was quilting something new, and this time the design was mine. Tuesday dawned grey, low clouds that threatened rain but never delivered on their promise. Miranda walked into the kitchen radiant in a maroon dress that surely cost more than I spent on food in 2 months. Ready to see my aunt? I touched my purse. Empty. The necklace was safe at Brenda's house. Ready. Perfect. You're going to love it. Her store is on Fifth Avenue in a very elegant plaza. She sells antique pieces, collectible jewelry. She'll know how to appreciate the real value of your necklace. Her necklace. She had already made it hers in her mind. We got into Miranda's car, a grey BMW that she still had to finish paying for. The air conditioning smelled of her expensive perfume. I put my hand on my purse, feeling my cell phone inside. The recorder was on. Leonore, there's something I want to tell you. Her voice sounded sweet, almost affectionate. I know these years haven't been easy for either of us, but I want you to know that I appreciate you, that I value everything you've done for us. I kept my eyes on the window. Thank you, Miranda. That's why I want you to understand that the remodel is important. It's not just for us, it's for you too. Imagine having a new bathroom, safer, with grab bars, a non-slip shower floor. It would be perfect for your age. Grab bars, as if I were an invalid. Sounds good. And I've also been thinking. She paused, as if choosing her words carefully. Robert and I have talked. We think it would be good for you to have your own space. A smaller house, more manageable. Something where you don't have to worry about the stairs, about the maintenance. There it was. The real plan. Sell my house and send me to a smaller, more manageable place. Probably that $18,000 a month facility. A small house. Or an apartment. In a building with security. With people your age. You could make new friends, have activities. It would be like setting you free. Setting me free. What a strange word to describe what she really wanted. To get rid of me. And you would keep the house? Well, it's logical, isn't it? We are younger. Olivia is growing up. She needs space. And you would be more comfortable in something more appropriate for your stage of life. My stage of life. As if at 68 years old, I already had one foot in the grave. Sounds like you already have everything planned. She laughed. A light laugh without genuine joy. It's not a plan, Leonore. It's just an idea, so that we are all better off. But first we need the money from the necklace. To start. We arrived at the shopping plaza. Underground parking, luxury stores, well-dressed people walking with bags from brands I could never afford. The jewelry store was called Treasures of Yesteryear. Elegant display window with antique pieces on black velvet. A woman about 50 years old greeted us. She looked like Miranda. Same perfect smile, same calculating gaze. Miranda, what a pleasure. They kissed on the cheek. Is this your mother-in-law? Leonore, meet my aunt, Grace. A pleasure, ma'am. She extended her hand to me, cold, with rings on every finger. Likewise. Miranda told me you have an opal necklace. Opals are very special stones, highly valued by collectors. Yes, it's an antique piece. Did you bring it? I touched my empty purse. I couldn't find it. The silence that followed was tense as a wire about to break. What do you mean you couldn't find it? Miranda's voice went up an octave. I looked in my room. Everywhere. It's not there. Leonore, you kept it under the loose floorboard. It's always been there. Interesting. She knew exactly where I kept it. How many times had she gone in to rummage through my room when I wasn't there? Well, it's not there anymore. This is ridiculous. Miranda turned to her aunt. Excuse us, my mother-in-law has been forgetful lately. There it was, the word, forgetful, planting the seed in front of a witness. I am not forgetful, Miranda. I just can't find the necklace. Because you don't remember where you put it. She turned to me with that exaggerated patience you use with children. Leonore, think. When was the last time you saw it? It was in its place last week. And now it's gone? Yes. Miranda pressed her lips together. I could see the calculation behind her eyes. What to do now? How to control this? Let's go home, she finally said. We'll look for it together. In the car, the silence was heavy. Miranda was driving with her jaw clenched, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. Leonore, did you tell anyone about the necklace? No. Are you sure? You didn't mention it to your quilting friends? Why would I? I don't know. Maybe you took it out to show them and forgot it at one of their houses. Trying to make me look careless, senile. I didn't do that. Or maybe... She turned to look at me for a second before returning her gaze to the road. Maybe someone broke into the house. A theft. Nothing else is missing. Just the necklace. How convenient, right? Right when we need it. Her tone had changed. It was no longer sweet. It was accusatory. What are you implying, Miranda? Nothing, Leonore. I just find it strange that the necklace suddenly disappears. We arrived home. Robert was in the living room with his laptop. He looked up when we entered. How did it go? Your mother lost the necklace, Miranda spat out. What do you mean she lost it? I didn't lose it. It's not where I always kept it. Miranda gently pushed me toward the stairs. Let's go to your room. We're going to find it. We went upstairs. Miranda practically tore the loose floorboard up. The empty box was still there, with its black velvet intact. See? Here's the box. Empty. She looked at me with those eyes that had feigned sweetness for so long. Where is the necklace, Leonore? I don't know. Of course you do. Her voice rose, losing control. Did you sell it? Behind my back? Did you keep the money? Robert appeared in the doorway. Miranda, calm down. I'm not going to calm down. That necklace was worth $450,000. We needed it. You needed it, I said in a low voice. What did you say? I said you needed it to pay off your debts. The silence was absolute. Miranda looked at me as if I had grown another head. My debts? I don't have debts. $850,000 in credit cards, personal loans, pawn shops. Robert took a step forward. What are you talking about, Mum? About the truth. About why Miranda needs so much money. Why she wants to remodel. Why she wants to sell my house. Miranda laughed, a hysterical, humorless laugh. Now, your mother is a detective. What else did you invent, Leonore? That I'm stealing from you? That I want to send you to a nursing home? I didn't answer. I just looked at her. And in that silence, something happened on her face. A fraction of a second where fear replaced rage. She knew that I knew. Robert, I said without taking my eyes off Miranda, ask your wife how much she owes. Ask her why she gets calls from collectors. Ask her about the bank statements she keeps in her office. You are delusional, Miranda said, but her voice was trembling. Is it true? Robert looked at his wife. Do you have debts? Everyone has debts. 1 or 2 cards, nothing serious. How much? Robert, it's not the time. How much? Miranda closed her eyes. When she opened them, there were tears, real tears this time, of fear, of contained rage. $200,000, maybe $300,000, it's manageable. She was lying. Even now, cornered, she was still lying. There are documents, I said, in your office, bank statements that total much more than $300,000. You had no right to snoop in my office. You had no right to forge my signature. That stopped her cold. Robert looked at both of us as if we were strangers. Is someone going to explain what is going on? Your wife forged house documents, property transfer documents, with my signature. She is planning to sell my house to pay off her debts. That's a lie. You're making things up because you're not well, Leonore. There it was again. The insinuation of dementia. I'm perfectly fine. Oh, really? The woman who lost a $450,000 necklace is perfectly fine. The woman who accuses her family of stealing from her is perfectly fine. She turned to Robert. See what I mean? Your mother needs help. Professional help. I don't need help. I need to be left alone. Alone? Miranda laughed again. You know what, Leonore? Maybe you're right. Maybe you should leave. Find your own apartment. Live alone. Because clearly we are no longer a family. We were never a family. I was your maid for 12 years. We gave you a roof over your head. It was my house. My scream echoed in the small room. Robert took a step back. Miranda was paralyzed. This house is mine, I continued, my voice trembling but firm. George left it to me. Not to you. Not to Robert. To me. And for 12 years I let you convince me that I was a guest, that I should be grateful for the crumbs, that I was worthless. Mum. No, Robert. Let me finish. You took my bedroom, put me in a service room, treated me like an employee. And when I finally said no, when I finally set a boundary, you screamed in front of 30 people that I was good for nothing. Tears were streaming down my cheeks now. Tears from 12 years of humiliation, of stored pain, of trampled dignity. So no, I am not selling my necklace. I am not remodeling my house so you can be comfortable. And I am definitely not going to let you declare me incompetent to steal the only thing I have left. Miranda turned pale. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about the lawyer, Roger Inclan. I'm talking about the $85,000 it costs to declare someone incompetent. I'm talking about Rose and Patrika, your bought witnesses. You're crazy. No, but you wanted me to seem that way, didn't you? I left the room. I walked down the stairs with trembling legs. I grabbed my purse, my sweater. Where are you going? Robert came down after me. Somewhere where I won't be treated like trash. Mum, wait. We can talk about this. I stopped at the door. I turned to look at my son, my only son, the child I had carried in my womb, whom I had raised with all my love. When she screamed at me on Olivia's birthday, you didn't say anything. That was your answer, Robert, your silence. I didn't know what to do. You knew what to do, defend your mother, but you chose not to. I walked out and closed the door behind me. I walked 3 blocks to Brenda's house. I rang the doorbell. When she opened it and saw my face, she hugged me without asking anything. There, she whispered. There, Leonore. The worst is over. But she was wrong. The worst was yet to come. I stayed at Brenda's house that night, and the next, and the next. This time it wasn't a flight. It was strategy. Julian called me on the third day. "Mrs. Leonore, we need to act fast." Miranda accelerated the process. She filed a request for a psychiatric evaluation with a family court judge. She says you are showing erratic behavior, that you lost valuables, that you are making baseless accusations. Can she do that? She already did. She has an order for an evaluation in 5 days. If you don't show up, the judge can interpret that as evidence of your incompetence. And if I do show up, the psychiatrist Miranda chose is, let's just say he has a reputation for being compliant with whoever pays him. But I have a better plan. What is it? We beat her to it. File our own lawsuit first. With all the evidence we have. Put the cards on the table before she has a chance to manipulate the process. When? Tomorrow. I'm going to file the criminal complaint for forgery of documents and attempted dispossession, and you are going to return to your house with full legal protection. I barely slept that night. I knew that the next day everything would explode. There was no going back. Saturday dawned with a perfect blue sky, ironic considering the storm that was about to break. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Miranda organized a dinner party. She called the entire family, her mother, her 2 sisters, Patricia, Robert's sister, even some close neighbors, 12 people in total. Brenda called me at 10 o'clock. "Leonore, my neighbor just told me, there are a lot of people going into your house. What's going on?" Miranda is making her final move. "What are you doing here? You should be in your house." "I'm on my way. It's time." I put on my best clothes, a beige pantsuit that I had bought years ago, when George was still alive. I carefully combed my hair. I put on a little makeup. I needed to look dignified, competent, sane. Julian picked me up at 11 o'clock. He was carrying a briefcase full of documents. "Ready?" "Ready." We arrived at my house at noon. There were several cars parked outside. I heard voices, laughter from inside. "Remember," Julian said, "stay calm. No matter what they say, you have the truth and the law on your side." I opened the door with my own keys. The living room was full. Miranda had set up a table with snacks, wine, sodas, white and gold balloons hung from the ceiling as if it were a celebration. The conversation stopped when I walked in. Everyone looked at me. "Leonore," Miranda approached, smiling. "It's good that you came. We wanted to talk to you." "Talk about what?" "About your future. About how we can help you." I looked around. I recognized everyone. Miranda's mother, Mrs. Amparo, sitting on my couch with a glass of wine. Miranda's sisters, Laura and Christina, one on each side. Patricia, my sister-in-law, avoiding my gaze. Rose, my neighbor, the one Miranda had paid $30,000 for her false testimony. And Robert, standing by the window with his arms crossed. "Sit down, Mom." Robert pointed to a chair in the center of the living room, as if I were before a tribunal. "I prefer to stand." "Leonore," Miranda began with that sweet voice that no longer fooled me. "Everyone here loves you, appreciates you. That's why we are worried." "Worried?" "About your health, about your well-being." She paused dramatically. "Lately you've been different." "Different how?" "Forgetful," Mrs. Amparo intervened. "Miranda tells me you lost a very valuable necklace." "I didn't lose it." "You've also been making accusation," Laura, Miranda's older sister, continued, "saying that Miranda wants to steal from you. That's not normal, Leonore. They are not accusations, they are facts." See? Miranda looked at those present with a worried expression. She keeps insisting that the family wants to harm her. It's part of her condition. I don't have any condition. Rose cleared her throat. Leonore, I've seen you in the last few weeks. You look confused. The other day you asked me if it was Tuesday, when it was Thursday. That's a lie. I had never had that conversation. That's false. And I've noticed that you repeat the same stories, Patricia added with a trembling voice, as if you don't remember that you already told them. Another lie. My own sister-in-law, lying out of fear or complicity. Leonore. Miranda took my hand. I pulled it away. We want what's best for you. That's why we have decided all together that you need professional help. Professional help? A place where you'll be cared for, where you'll have nurses, doctors, activities appropriate for your age. A nursing home. A specialized care residence, Mrs. Amparo corrected. My cousin is in one. It's beautiful. Gardens, painting classes. They even have mass on Sundays. I am not going to any nursing home. Mum, be reasonable. Robert approached. You can no longer live alone. It's not safe. This is my house. It was your house. Miranda let the words drop like stones. But now we need to think about what's practical. Robert and I are going to stay here. Olivia needs stability, and you will be better cared for in a professional place. Did you sign the papers? I asked Robert. Did you transfer the house to your name? Mum. Answer me, did you sign property transfer documents? His silence was answer enough. I see. I felt something break inside me, the last thread connecting me to my son. So you are an accomplice. I'm not being an accomplice to anything. I'm taking care of you. Taking care, I laughed, a dry, humorless laugh. Would you call putting me in a nursing home while you keep my house taking care? It's for your own good. It's for $850,000 of your wife's debts. The silence that followed was deafening. Miranda turned pale. The sisters exchanged glances. I don't know what you're talking about, Miranda said with a tense voice. I'm talking about your credit cards, your loans, your desperate need for money. I turned to those present. Miranda owes more than $1 million. She needs to sell this house to pay it off. But the house is mine, so she plans to declare me incompetent to take control. That's ridiculous, Miranda spat out. Is it ridiculous? I took out my cell phone. Because I have photos of the documents, bank statements, emails with the lawyer Roger Inclan, everything. I passed the cell phone around. The photos circulated among those present. I saw how the faces changed, surprise, shock, discomfort. Mrs. Amparo looked at her daughter. Miranda, is this true? They are things taken out of context. Is $1,200,000 context? Asked Christina, her younger sister. And there's more, I continued. I looked at Rose. Do you want to tell them about the $30,000 Miranda paid you? Or should I? Rose turned red. She lent me that money. For my son's car. A loan? With what money? If she's up to her neck in debt. Leonore, stop it. Robert took a step toward me. You're making a scene. A scene? Your wife wants to steal my house. She forged my signature. She hired a lawyer to declare me incompetent. And you are helping her. I'm trying to keep my family together. At the expense of your mother? At any cost necessary. There it was. The truth. Raw, painful, definitive. My son had chosen, and he hadn't chosen me. Miranda stood up, her hands trembling. Everyone knows you're lying. You're sick, Leonore. You're seeing conspiracies where there aren't any. That's why you need help. Then explain the property transfer documents with my forged signature. Explain the email with the real estate agency. Explain the nursing home brochures with my name on them. Enough, Miranda screamed. Her composure finally broke. You're ruining everything, everything we built. What you built on my back. We gave you a roof over your head when you were alone. You took my house, my dignity, and my life. Miranda looked at me with pure hatred, without disguise. You know what, Leonore? Go. Go wherever you want. But without the necklace, without money, without anything. Because all of this, she pointed around, all of this is ours now. No, a new voice said from the door. None of this is yours. We all turned around. Julian had walked in, accompanied by 2 police detectives. I am Julian Soto, Esquire, legal counsel for Mrs. Leonore Duran. I have a search warrant and an order to appear. He handed some papers to Robert. My son read them, his face getting paler and paler. What is this? Criminal complaint for forgery of documents, attempted dispossession and fraud, against Miranda Fuentes Olvera. Miranda backed away. You can't. I also have a search warrant for Mrs. Fuentes' office. We need to seize certain documents as evidence. The officers moved toward the stairs. Miranda tried to block their path. You can't go in there. It's my private office. We have a court order, ma'am. Please step aside. For the next 20 minutes, the officers brought down boxes of documents, the green folder, the red folder, the bank statements, the printed emails, the nursing home brochures, everything. The guests watched in shock. Mrs. Amparo was crying silently. Miranda's sisters had moved away, as if shame were contagious. Miranda Fuentes Olvera, one of the officers said, you need to accompany us to give a statement. Am I being arrested? For the moment, we only need your statement. But depending on what we find in these documents, formal charges could be filed. Robert! Miranda turned to her husband, her eyes filled with real tears for the first time. Robert, don't let them take me. My son was looking at the floor. He didn't say anything. Robert, go with them, Miranda. Resolve this. Resolve? Your mother is destroying me. Defend me. But Robert just shook his head, his gaze empty. Miranda looked at me then. There was no more sweetness or manipulation, only pure hatred. This is not over. I won't let you win. You won enough for 12 years. The officers took her away. I heard her heels clicking on the floor, then the door closing. The guests began to leave, one by one, muttering awkward apologies, avoiding my gaze. Rose walked past me without a word. Patricia stopped for a moment. Leonore, No, I don't want to hear it. She left too. When everyone was gone, only Robert, Julian, and I remained. I also have this, Julian said. He took out another document. Civil lawsuit for unpaid domestic work. 12 years of cooking, cleaning, caring. We calculated a fair salary of $4,500 per month, plus benefits. That comes to $680,000. Robert looked up, incredulous. You're suing me? I'm claiming what you owe me. You're my mother. And you are my son, the son who let his wife treat me like trash for 12 years. I didn't know. You knew. Maybe not the details, but you knew something was wrong, and you chose not to see it. Robert slumped into the couch, his head in his hands. What do you want me to do? Get out of my house. He raised his head abruptly. What? This is my house. George left it to me. I didn't sign any transfer. You are living here because of my goodwill, and that goodwill is over. Mum, you can't kick us out. Where am I going to live with Olivia? You should have thought about that before. Please, give me a chance. I can fix this. I can. You can what, Robert? Give me back the last 12 years? Erase all the times you stayed silent while your wife humiliated me? He didn't answer, because there was no answer. You have 2 weeks to find another place and move out. After that, I'm changing the locks. Mum, 2 weeks. I walked out of my own living room, went up to my service room for the last time. I took my few belongings. I came down with my small suitcase. Where are you going? Robert asked. To Brenda's house, until you leave. Then I'll come back. To my house. Julian accompanied me to the door. I turned back one last time. Robert was still sitting there, surrounded by white and gold balloons, of a celebration that never was, in the middle of a living room that no longer belonged to him. Goodbye, Robert. He didn't answer. I walked out with my head held high, with my suitcase in one hand and my dignity finally intact. Because I had learned something crucial these past few days. Sometimes getting your life back means losing the people you thought were your family. And it hurts. It hurts like nothing else in the world. But it is the price of freedom. The following days were a whirlwind of legal proceedings, statements, and discoveries that I hadn't even anticipated myself. Julian called me on Tuesday morning. His voice sounded tense but excited. Mrs. Leonore, I need you to come to my office, now. We found something important. I arrived in half an hour. On his desk were piles of scattered documents, coloured markers, sticky notes everywhere. When the agents searched Miranda's office, they found more than we expected. He opened a blue folder that I hadn't seen before. Much more. What did they find? Miranda didn't just forge your house transfer documents. She also has a second set of deeds. Completely fake. With them, she already sold the house. I felt the floor move. How? 3 weeks ago, using the forged deeds, she sold your house to a shell company for $2,800,000, far below the real value. The company is owned by a man named Victor Salinas. Does the name ring a bell? I shook my head. He's Miranda's cousin. They planned for you to sign a power of attorney, supposedly for maintenance procedures. With that power, they were going to legalize the sale retroactively, and you wouldn't find out until it was too late. And the money? Miranda received an advance of $800,000. She used it to pay the most urgent credit cards and the most aggressive collectors. The rest would come after everything was formalized. I sat down, dizzy. But that means if we hadn't acted when we did, you would have lost your house. For real. They would have declared you incompetent, signed papers for you, and by the time you realized it, there would have been no turning back. The horror of how close I had been to the precipice left me speechless. There's more. Julian took out other papers. I investigated Robert, my son, his finances. I wanted to know if he was an active or passive accomplice. He paused. Mrs. Leonore, your son didn't know anything about Miranda's debts. She kept everything a secret. But 2 months ago, he signed a document. What document? A personal loan for $300,000. In his name. But Miranda was the one who processed it. She made him believe it was for improving the house. That money never went to any improvements. It went straight to paying credit card interest. Robert, my son, had also been deceived. So he didn't know, I said. He didn't know the magnitude, yes. The arguments with Miranda, the strange calls, the stress. but she kept him in the dark. She manipulated him as much as you, only in a different way. I didn't know whether to feel relief or more pain. My son was not the villain I had imagined. He was another puppet in Miranda's show. What happens now? Miranda faces serious charges: forgery of official documents, aggravated fraud, attempted dispossession. We are talking about a sentence of 5 to 10 years in prison, and that's if she has a good lawyer. And Victor Salinas, the cousin. He also faces charges as an accomplice. The shell company is being investigated. All the money will be seized and returned. 10 years. Olivia would be 22 when her mother got out. And my granddaughter? Julian looked at me with understanding. That is a question only you can answer, Mrs. Leonore. 2 days later, on Thursday, Miranda was formally arrested. Bail was set at $200,000. Her parents paid it, selling Mrs. Amparo's car and taking out loans from the entire family. Miranda left jail with a haggard face, without makeup, in wrinkled clothes. Nothing was left of the perfectly groomed woman I knew. On Friday, Robert showed up at Brenda's house. He brought Olivia by the hand. My granddaughter ran toward me. "Grandma!" I hugged her, feeling her little arms around my neck, her smell of apple shampoo. "Hello, my love. Why haven't you come home? I miss you." "I miss you too." Robert waited for Brenda to take Olivia to the kitchen for cookies. "Mum, I need to talk to you." "Go ahead." He sat across from me, his hands between his knees. He looked 10 years older. Julian showed me everything: the documents, the debts, the cousin Victor, everything. And? "I didn't know anything, Mum, I swear. Miranda hid everything from me." "But you knew something was wrong." He nodded, his eyes wet. "I knew there was tension. I knew we were spending more than we had. But every time I asked, she said everything was under control, that they were investments for the future, for Olivia." He wiped his eyes. "I was an idiot. You were my son who didn't defend me when I needed it most." "I know, and I'm going to live with that for the rest of my life." He looked directly at me. "But I need you to know something. I'm divorcing Miranda." I didn't expect that. "Why?" "Because what she did is unforgivable. She tried to destroy you. She used Olivia and me as excuses for her lies. And she almost succeeded." His voice broke. "I almost lost my mother to defend her, for being too cowardly to see the truth." "And Olivia? It's going to be difficult for her. But she can't grow up thinking that what her mother did is okay. She can't learn that manipulation and deception are normal." He was right, but the pain in his eyes broke my heart. "Where are you going to live?" "I rented a small apartment, 2 bedrooms, near Olivia's school." He paused. "Mum, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but—" "What?" "Can we visit you, Olivia and I? Not to live with you, just to not lose you completely." I looked through the window toward the kitchen, where Olivia was laughing with Brenda while eating cookies. "Yes," I finally said. "You can visit me." "Thank you, Mum. But there are conditions." "Whatever they are." "You are going to pay the civil lawsuit, the $680,000. Not all at once, I can wait. But you're going to pay me." "Agreed." "And never, ever again are you going to stay silent when someone disrespects me, even if it's your wife, your boss, whoever." "Never again. I promise." He got up to leave, but stopped at the door. "Mum, one more thing. The house, obviously, is yours. But what are you going to do with it? It's too big for one person." I smiled. I had been thinking about that for days. "I have a plan." The following Monday, Miranda showed up at Brenda's house. She rang the doorbell at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Brenda looked at me to ask if I wanted to see her. I nodded. Miranda walked into the dining room like a ghost of herself. She no longer wore designer clothes, just jeans and a simple blouse, no makeup, her hair tied back in a careless ponytail. "Leonore." "Miranda?" She sat down without being invited. She put her hands on the table and I saw them tremble. "I came to ask you to withdraw the lawsuit." "No. Please. If I go to jail, Olivia loses her mother." "You should have thought about that before you tried to steal my house." I was desperate. The debts, the collectors were calling me 10 times a day. They threatened me. One came to my job, humiliated me in front of everyone. I just needed to get out of it. At the cost of destroying me. I never wanted to destroy you. Her eyes filled with tears. I just wanted the money. I was going to let you live in the nursing home. I was going to visit you. I wasn't going to abandon you completely. I looked at her, this woman who had tortured me with small cruelties for 12 years, who had taken my bedroom, my dignity, my peace. "Do you know the difference between you and me, Miranda?" "What?" "When I had problems after George died, when I felt alone and lost, I didn't try to destroy anyone to save myself." "You did. I made mistakes." "They weren't mistakes. They were decisions. Decision after decision to hurt me, use me, erase me." She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders were trembling. "What do you want me to do? Grovel? Beg you?" "I don't want anything from you, Miranda. You can no longer give me anything I need." "Then why? Why go ahead with the lawsuit? Revenge?" "No." I stood up. "Justice. There is a difference." "And Olivia?" "She's not to blame." "Exactly, she's not to blame. That's why she's going to learn, starting now, that actions have consequences. That you can't lie, steal, and manipulate without paying the price. She's just a child. Who deserves a mother who teaches her real values, not how to destroy people to get what she wants?" Miranda stood up. She was no longer crying. She just looked at me with a mixture of rage and defeat. "You're going to destroy my family." "Your family was already destroyed. I just turned on the light so everyone could see it." She left without saying anything more. I heard her footsteps fading away, the door closing. Brenda walked into the dining room. "Are you okay?" "Yes. For the first time in a long time. I'm okay." 2 weeks later, exactly as I had promised, Robert and Olivia moved out. I helped them pack. Olivia was crying as she put away her toys. "Why can't we stay, Grandma?" "Because sometimes things need to change, my love. But that doesn't mean we won't see each other." "Promise?" "I promise." The day I finally returned to my house, the sun was streaming through all the windows. I walked through it slowly, room by room. Miranda's office was empty. The closets in the master bedroom were empty. Everything was clean, tidy, silent. It was my house again. I went up to the master bedroom, the one that had been mine and George's, the one they had taken from me 8 years ago. I sat on the floor where our bed used to be. I closed my eyes. "I did it, George," I whispered. "I got our house back. I got my life back." And for the first time since his death, I felt that I had truly begun to heal. 3 months later, on a Tuesday in February, I sat in the family court, number 12. The room smelled of old paper and stale coffee. Miranda was sitting on the other side, next to her public defender. There was no money left for expensive lawyers. The judge read the sentence in a monotone voice. In the case of aggravated fraud, forgery of official documents, and attempted dispossession, The accused Miranda Fuentes Olvera is sentenced to 6 years in prison, reducible by good behavior. The sentence is suspended on probation with the following conditions. Miranda would not go to jail immediately, she would have probation, but with strict conditions. Community service, mandatory therapy, weekly appearances before the judge, and an absolute prohibition from approaching me or my property. If she violated any of these conditions, she would go directly to prison. I looked at her. She didn't look back. She looked small, defeated, nothing like the imposing woman who had screamed at me in front of 30 people. Victor Salinas, her cousin, was not so lucky. He went to prison. 4 years for complicity in fraud. The shell company was dissolved, and the $800,000 Miranda had received were seized and returned. But by then, that money had already evaporated in interest payments. I left the courtroom with Julian by my side. "How do you feel?" he asked. "I don't know. I thought I would feel victorious, but I just feel tired." "That's normal. Justice doesn't always feel the way we think it will." He was right. For months I had imagined this moment. I had thought I would feel triumph, satisfaction, sweet revenge, but I only felt relief and sadness for everything that had been lost along the way. Robert had kept his promise. He divorced Miranda 2 weeks after moving out. The divorce was fast, undisputed. Miranda had nothing to fight for. She had no house. She had no money. She had nothing but debts and an uncertain future. Custody of Olivia was given to Robert. Miranda had supervised visits every 15 days. My son also started paying me $1,500 a month. It wasn't a lot, but it was what he could afford after paying his rent, Olivia's expenses, and part of the debts Miranda had left in his name. "I'm going to pay you everything, Mum," he had told me, "even if it takes 20 years. "I know, son." The visits started slowly, one afternoon every 2 weeks. Robert and Olivia came over for dinner. At first it was awkward, full of heavy silences and superficial conversations. But little by little, week after week, the wounds began to heal. Olivia asked me one afternoon while we were eating chili in the kitchen, "Grandma, why did Mommy do those bad things?" Robert tensed up. I took my granddaughter's hand. "Sometimes, my love, people make bad decisions when they are afraid. Your mum was very afraid and made decisions that hurt others. But you're not afraid." "Of course I'm afraid. We are all afraid sometimes. But that doesn't give us permission to hurt the people we love." "Do you still love Mommy?" The question caught me off guard. I looked at Robert, who was staring at his plate. I don't know if I still love her, but I don't wish her harm. I hope she learns from her mistakes and becomes a better person." "Me too," Olivia said, with that seriousness children have. "Because even though she did bad things, she's still my mum." "Yes, my love, she's still your mum, and you have the right to love her. That's never wrong." I hugged her and felt her tears wetting my blouse. But the story didn't end there, because I had a plan for my house. A plan that had been brewing since the day I got the keys back. One afternoon in March, I gathered my quilting group in the living room, the 6 ladies who had supported me, who had been my witnesses, my friends, my tribe. "I have something to propose to you," I said. I pulled out some documents I had prepared with Julian. "This house is too big for me alone. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a yard, a garage. It's a waste for only me to live in it." "Are you going to sell it?" Susan asked. "No, I'm going to share it, but this time on my terms." I explained my plan. I wanted to convert 3 of the bedrooms into workshops. One space for quilting classes, another for painting, another for pottery. The large living room would be the common area, The yard, a space for gatherings. I want to create a community centre for women our age, a place where we can learn, create, and share without having to pay expensive rents or depend on municipal spaces that never have available hours. And how are you going to maintain it? Harriet, always practical, asked. By charging affordable fees, $300 a month per person. Quilting classes, painting, pottery, yoga, whatever the teachers want to teach. Each teacher keeps 70%, I use 30% to maintain the house. That's not much money, Beatrice observed. It's not about the money. It's about creating something, a space where women like us can feel valued, useful, alive. Brenda smiled. And when do we start? The morning. And do you all agree to be the first teachers? They accepted. All of them. I used the money from the opal necklace for the necessary renovations. $450,000 that my mother had saved for decades, waiting for the right moment. This was that moment. I hired a carpenter to build work tables. I bought sewing machines, quilting hoops, fabrics, coloured threads. I painted the walls cheerful colours. Sunflower yellow in the quilting workshop, sky blue in the painting studio, mint green in the pottery studio. The master bedroom remained mine. The other two I left as guest rooms, in case Olivia ever wanted to stay over, or if one of my friends needed temporary refuge. The Leonore Arts Centre opened on a Saturday in April. 30 women came on the first day, some curious, others enthusiastic, all looking for the same thing, a place to be themselves. Mrs. Lupita, 74 years old, learned her first quilting stitches. Carmela, a recent widow at 62, found in painting a way to process her grief. Anna Marie, divorced at 68, discovered she had a talent for pottery. And I found a purpose I didn't know I needed. It wasn't just teaching, it was creating a community, a space where women whom society considered past their prime, invisible and worthless, could shine. Robert came to visit me one Sunday. He walked through the workshops with Olivia, watching the ladies working, laughing, sharing stories. "Mom, this is incredible. You turned all that pain into something beautiful." I shrugged. "Your dad always said that the best flowers grow from the best fertilizer, and the fertilizer isn't exactly pleasant." Olivia was trying the pottery wheel, her hands full of clay, laughing when the clay slipped through her fingers. "Can I come more often, Grandma? To learn?" "Of course, my love. This is your house too." And I meant it. It was her house, but this time under different rules, rules of respect, of clear boundaries, of love without manipulation. One afternoon in May, 6 months after everything, I was watering the hydrangeas in the yard, the same blue flowers that George took care of, the ones that were growing when he died. I heard the doorbell ring. It was Miranda. She looked different, thinner, without makeup, with shorter hair. She was wearing simple, clean, but modest clothes. "Leonore." "Miranda." "I know I shouldn't be here, that I'm forbidden from approaching, but I needed to tell you something." "You have 5 minutes. I'm in therapy, mandatory because of the sentence, but it's helping me. I'm understanding many things about myself, about why I did what I did." I didn't say anything. I just waited. "I grew up poor, Leonore. Very poor. My dad abandoned us when I was 8 years old. I watched my mum work 3 jobs to support us. I saw how people looked at us with pity. I promised I would never live like that. That doesn't justify anything, I know, but it explains the terror I felt of going back to that place. When the debts started, when the collectors called, that terror returned. And instead of asking for help, instead of being honest, I decided that someone else had to pay the price. You, yes, you and I, am sorry. I'm sorry I treated you the way I did. I'm sorry I took away your dignity. I'm sorry I tried to steal your house. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry for everything. I looked at her, this woman who had almost destroyed me, this woman who was now broken in front of me. Are you expecting me to forgive you? No, I don't expect that. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, that I'm trying to be better. For Olivia, for myself. How is your relationship with Olivia? Difficult. She asks me questions. Why I did what I did. Why Dad and I got divorced. I try to be honest, but it's hard for your 12-year-old daughter to look at you with disappointment. They are called consequences. I know. She wiped her eyes. Well, I told you what I came to say. I'm leaving before you call the police. She turned to leave. Miranda. She stopped. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe never. But I hope you really change. For Olivia. She deserves a better mother. I know, and I'm going to do it. Or at least I'm going to try. She left. I watched her walk away down the street, a solitary figure in the late afternoon sun. Brenda appeared beside me. She had arrived for the quilting class. Was that Miranda? Yes. What did she want? To apologize. And nothing. Apologies don't erase the years of pain, but at least she acknowledges what she did. Is that enough? No, but it's a start. We walked into the house together. The quilting workshop was already full of women. Their laughter filled the space that had once been so silent and sad. That night, after everyone had left, I sat in my bedroom, the master bedroom, the one I got back. I took out an old photo of George and me, 30 years younger, smiling in front of this same house the day we bought it. I never imagined I would have to fight so hard to keep it, I told his image, but it was worth it. I put the photo away and opened my notebook. Since everything began, I had been writing, first as therapy, then as a record. I wrote the last entry. Today, 6 months after getting my life back, I understand something fundamental. Dignity is not something others can give or take away from you. It is something you decide to keep, even when the whole world tells you that you are worthless. For 12 years, I let myself be convinced that I was a burden, that I should be grateful for the crumbs they gave me, that my age made me invisible, expendable. But I was 68 years old when I decided that enough was enough. And if I could do it at 68, anyone can do it at any age. It's not easy. It hurts to lose the people you thought were your family. It hurts to discover that the people who claimed to love you were willing to destroy you for money. But on the other side of that pain, there is something beautiful. Freedom. Today I have a house full of laughter. I have friends who are more family than blood. I have a purpose that makes me wake up every morning wanting to live. And I have something I didn't have 6 months ago. Self-respect. Because I learned that setting boundaries is not selfishness, it is self-love. I learned that saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you free. I learned that it is never, ever too late to get your life back. I am 68 years old, and my life is just beginning. I closed the notebook. I turned off the light, and I slept deeply, without the noise of the washing machine waking me up, without the smell of detergent in the sheets, without the weight of humiliation crushing my chest. I slept in my own bed, in my own bedroom, in my own house. I slept like a free woman. 3 years later, epilogue. The Leonore Arts Centre had grown. It was no longer just 3 workshops. Now we had yoga classes, traditional American cooking, creative writing, even a book club. 120 women came through my house every week. women from 50 to 85 years old, all looking for the same thing, a place to be themselves. Some came newly divorced, trying to rebuild their identity. Others came widowed, looking for how to fill the emptiness. Others simply came because they were tired of being invisible. And they all found here the same thing I had found: community, purpose, dignity. Olivia was 15 years old now, a beautiful, intelligent teenager with her grandmother's strong character. She came every weekend, helped with the classes, and learned from the ladies. "Grandma," she told me one Saturday while we were organizing threads, "when I grow up, I want to do something like this, create spaces where people feel valued. You are going to do incredible things, my love. Do you think Mommy can come someday? Just to see, not to stay?" Miranda had completed her probation without problems. She was working at a coffee shop, living in a small apartment, and was still in therapy. Her relationship with Olivia was slowly improving. "Maybe someday," I replied, "when the time is right." Robert had finished paying me 6 months ago, $680,000 that took 3 years to pay. But he did it. "We're even now, Mum," he had told me when he gave me the last check. "No," I had replied. "We will never be even, because it's not about money, it's about respect. And that, my son, you pay every day with your actions." And he did. Robert had changed. He was more present, more attentive, more conscious. Not perfect, but better. That night, after everyone left, I sat in the yard. The hydrangeas were more beautiful than ever, covering the entire fence with their blue flowers. Brenda sat down next to me with 2 cups of tea. "What are you thinking about?" "About everything that happened, how something so terrible turned into something so beautiful." "Because you turned it into something beautiful, Leonore. It didn't just happen. You decided to do something with the pain." "I guess so." We drank our tea in silence, listening to the crickets, feeling the cool night breeze. "You know," I finally said, "for years I thought the worst day of my life was when Miranda screamed at me in front of everyone. But now I think it was the best." "Why?" "Because that scream woke me up. It made me see that I had stopped living my own life, and it gave me the courage to get it back." Brenda raised her cup. "To the screams that wake us up." I clinked my cup with hers. "And to the courage to get up afterwards." Final reflection. If you are listening to this story and you relate to it, if there is someone in your life who makes you feel small, invisible, worthless, listen to me closely. You are worthy. Your dignity is not up for negotiation. Your age does not make you less valuable. Your situation does not define your future. Setting boundaries is not cruelty. It is self-love. Defending your space is not selfishness. It is a necessity. And it is never, ever too late to start over. I did it at 68 years old. You can do it at any age. Because true wealth is not in the houses you own or the money you have. True wealth is in the peace with which you sleep every night, knowing that no one can take away what really matters. Your dignity, your worth, your right to live without humiliation. And that, no one can take that away from you. Unless you let them. I stopped letting them. And you? If this story touched something inside you, if it made you feel that you are not alone, leave me a comment telling me where you are watching from. Write your state, your city. I would love to know that these words reached you, wherever you are. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who is going through something similar, share this story. Maybe it's the push they need to wake up, just like I woke up. Like it if you believe it is never too late to get your life back. And subscribe to keep sharing stories of women who got up when the world told them to stay down. because these stories need to be told. And you need to know that you are not alone. You are never alone.